and welcome back to Gamer Bargain. On today's episode, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review, and maybe some and look at some issues that people are having with their 30 series card. I have a Zotac RTX 3070, twin edge OC, which is pretty much the bottom one, and then I'll go over my specs and some issues that you may be having if this is what you're trying to currently game at. So let's get right into it. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hit Alt R. Now I have the RTX, the NVIDIA performance overlay, and I have the advanced features on. That way we can look at the frames per second, the GPU, CPU utilization, as well as the clocks and the wattage and temperatures. So I'm going to test a few games. So the first game I'm going to show you is CSGO. Because that's an older title, right? It uses, to me, in my opinion, like more like of the CPU. So now my current setup right now, which my Steam's loading and all that stuff. I have a B450 Aorus M, which is for the micro ATX version. And then I have a Ryzen 5 1600 AF, overclocked to 3.8 gigahertz. It's been stable for almost a year now. I have 32 gigs of Ripjaws series, 3200 megahertz memory. Here I have two solid states. One's an M.2, one's the traditional solid state. Then I have a 2 terabyte Seagate Barracuda, as well as I have the Zotac RTX 3070, and people might maybe give me a little flack about this, but because when I built this, I thought this, the wattage would be enough. I have an EVGA 80 plus bronze 600 watt power supply. Now, when I do game on this, the peak wattage is only about 350 watts. Now, if you take the 600 watts, right, and then its efficiency is at 80%, so you take 600 minus 20%, that's 120 watts, which is 480. So the thing is only pulling 350 watts while gaming, and it's about 85 on idle. So the wattage is perfectly fine. The only thing I'm considering to upgrading is I do notice that some people get more power when they actually run 2 cables instead of 1 cable with the daisy chain and using the 2 plugs, and then running the actual 2 separate cables, which this 600 power supply does not have, and they get like a 10%, 15% FPS gain by running 2 separate power cables instead of 1 single cable. So as you can see in the menu right now, we're just at around 100 frames. So let's go into our settings here. Go to video. Now, you'll see I have everything enabled. Everything's on high. The only thing disabled is like vertical sync and, like motion blur and all that stuff. So we're just going to go play a game. Most likely it's early in the morning, so there's probably not going to be that many people on. I'll probably play against bots. But also, this will be a little uncomfortable as I stand up for my videos. So, so we're going to let it load in. And of course, we only have 1 player, but that's fine. So right now you can see that we're about at 250 frames, and it will dip down quite a bit. I've seen it as low as 120, it'll dip down. Our 99% FPS is right around 170, 180, which my monitor is 144 hertz, which we just dipped below that. So as you look down here, the CPU utilization is only about 25 to 40%-ish. It's going up and down. And then the GPU is only around 50%. And it drops down to 40s and 30s% I've seen too. So the clocks are working correctly. It's at 1950 and 7000 on the memory, which is the stock, settings. This is not overclocked. This is all out of the box. And then you want to go down. Right now, it's doing about 130 watts, 120, and it will dip down. It will go down into the 70s and the 80s. And you can see the temperatures are extremely low. There's only in, 62C, which is, that's great. But so we're getting above in 300 frames. Fusion about 110 watts, 100 watts. So this card will pull 220 watts. Now, our frames are right around, I would say, 150 frames, which, is playable. But look, it dipped down well below 100. So the problem is with these 30 series cards, if you're trying a 1080p game on here, it's not the card itself. I've DDU'd it, reinstalled the drivers completely fresh, restarted it, redid everything, right? And the problem is actually it's not the card or driver issues or power issues, because I've tested that with another power supply. That's not the issue. The issue is there's, I think, a couple of videos on this, but I don't think anybody's really touched it. These cards are meant for enthusiasts. They are designed to run games at least 1440p or higher. So the actual bottleneck is not the system. It's actually the resolution that you're running the game at and what your monitor can handle. So I'm going to upgrade. I have it coming to me in Amazon, a 1440p, 165 hertz, new monitor here. This one right now is 1080p. Sorry, I was talking, so I died. But you can see, look, 72 watts. It's not even using that much power right now. And the frames are extremely unstable. They'll jump from 350 down to 150. So if you're going to use these cards for 1080p, do not buy them. It is way overkill, and you will get unstable frames. These cards are meant for enthusiasts. They're designed to be ran, and they're optimized at 1440p and higher. So let's do another game here. Now, there is one game I did see it work so far with, and that is Metro Exodus. So CSGO, that's like DirectX 11, which most esports games are at DirectX 11. But in Metro, you can switch it over to DirectX 12 and turn your ray tracing on. So you will actually watch the wattage and the utilization of the GPU actually go up and be at where it's supposed to be. But all right, we'll just do normal. So we'll let the game load up. Now, like I was saying before, though, you will see that this particular game will utilize. Let's skip the video. So this is Metro Exodus. It's a newer title. So what we're trying to do is I'm trying to get the GPU to actually run at its wattage it's supposed to be pulling, as well as getting its utilization up to around the 90, to 9500% mark. And then watching my CPU utilization, and that's also something I've considered, is upgrading to like a 3600X or 3700X. And then I want to see how well the CPU and GPU actually balances, because the other games weren't just utilizing the card. The 1080p resolution in DirectX 11 was actually the bottleneck for the card. So if you're going to get a 30 series card, definitely recommend doing 1440p. 1080p, you will definitely get a lot of, issues and stuff like that. So first off, let's do our options. Go to video. And so right now we're on 1080p. We are on Ultra. DirectX 12 is on. And then RTX is on. Ray tracing is on high. No DLS. Okay. And right now we're hovering. We're at about 210 watts. And we're getting about 100 frames per second. Now, let's go back and let's take this. Oh, I need to restart the game. Okay, well, then I'll restart the game then. So as you can see, hold on. Turn ray tracing off. Turn that off. Okay, you guys can see what the difference is in the performance from DirectX 11 the DirectX 12 with ray tracing on. So this game, it will see how it's jumping from 60 down to 70, you know, everything in between. Let it load in here. It's dropping down. It's not really using all the graphics card, which you could argue that that's a CPU bottleneck because it is jumping up quite a bit. This is a newer title. So this is the only title I found that will come close to running it at what it's supposed to do, what it's supposed to be at. So right now we're at DirectX 11, right? And right about 100 frames. You know, it's jumping up to 130-ish. So that's not that far off from running it at DirectX 12 with ray tracing on. So, so that's another comparison I just wanted to show you guys. Now we'll do another game. Let's do. Now I don't like doing Call of Duty because Call of Duty it's all over the place. You'll never get constant FPS there. I would do Valheim, but once again that's a beta game. So right now we're loading into Star Wars Fallen Order. Come on, get through all the mumbo jumbo here. Now let's go to our options and let's go to videos settings. No, I don't want max FPS. Why does it keep doing that? I mean, I get you can't have unlimited. Okay, so 244. So we're at 1080p custom. Everything's on epic or high. Turn everything on to epic. There. Everything's epic. Okay. Now let's see. Well, you know what should do. We'll just load this game here. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it down. And then you'll see that sometimes in some games that you could turn the settings down or up in 1080p and it won't even affect your FPS, you know, at all. Because it's not pushing the card hard enough. So right now we're at about 170 watts. We're at about 40% to 60% utilization. Our 99% frame, whoa, it just, look at that. Major leg spike. About 30 frames. Okay. We're gonna run around. We're gonna check this out here. This is a pretty cool game. I just got it not that long ago. I'm a Star Wars guy, so. Okay, card's getting about 40 to 50% CPU and about here about 70 to 80% on the GPU. Oh, he got it. Ooh, blocked you, parried. Get it. Okay. So, you know, it goes up to like 40 to 55 on the CPU and like 70 to 80 right there. So here, what if we do this? We'll go over here to settings, come back to our video, and let's turn it down to high. Okay. And then I don't know, it looks like there's not an apply button there. So we will back off. Now we're at the same amount of frames, and yet I turned it down again. So you'll see that we're only using about 170, 180 watts. Not using the full card's potential. We're at 60% utilization, 57. You need to attack those guys before they do that. Before they get red. There we go. Okay, so the whole time it went up to like 70. So now we're up to 80%. It's starting to get up there a tiny bit. It ramped up a little bit. It's like whenever it needs to render something, it will boost that power a tiny bit and then it'll go back down. So it's really not like pushing the card all the way. Because here, look, we'll even go one step further. And we'll go over here to the video and we will turn it down again. This time we'll just do medium settings on 1080p, which, I mean, honestly, we should be maxed out, you know, on our frames. never drop. So our 99% frame right now is 80, 90, 77. I mean, we are literally getting the same amount of frames, and the GPU utilization has went down from, it's in the 50s again. So it's still doing exactly what it did before. So no behavior change. It's using roughly the same wattage, 130, 170 watts. It will, if I come across an enemy, it's ramping up to 150. Ooh, blocked your shot, dude. Boom, boom. Yeah, you want that? Bow. Yeah, bow, all blocked, parried. So once again, I just wanted to do this overview. So this is the, oh, I want to exit the game. I want to exit the game. Quit. And we'll just quit the title screen. So I just wanted to do this overview a little bit in case you guys were thinking about buying a 30 series card. So a couple things to keep in consideration. One, your CPU needs to keep up with the GPU, which so far it's doing right now. When I get my 1440p monitor, I'm going to watch the CPU utilization, and I'll do another video on 1440p to see what the differences are. So that way we can really understand. Because I read a lot about the forums, and I was trying to figure out, why is my card only using like half its wattage, and why is it only using, half its performance, the GPU utilization. And I finally reached out to Zotac, and they got back to me, and they said it's the 1080p. So these cards are not meant for 1080p. They're not really, yeah, they'll play it, but they're not optimized for it. That's not where you're going to get that performance. It's going to be at the 1440p and higher. So this is their new, their new series here. They're designed for, enthusiasts. So they're not designed for the budget 1080p gamers. So the other thing that you want to consider is going to be your power supply. You only want to use 80%, which when you're gaming, I looked over at I have a small kilowatt. I'll try to get another camera so I can show you guys that. But we were roughly at about 350, 340 on the gaming. Right now sitting in the menu, we're at about 265 watts. So we're well within the reasons of 80% of the 600 watt power supply. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on the 30 series. If you're I would not use it for 1080p gaming. If you guys are gonna do 1080p, I would recommend getting like a 2060. If you're gonna go the NVIDIA side. Now, me personally, the king of the 1080p is for as far as budget and best bang for buck is gonna be the Sapphire Pulse RX 5600 XT. I had that card. Amazing 1080p performance. I love the card. So yeah, so that's these are some the performance of what you can expect from an RTX 370 on 1080p. So if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.